Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Career Series second edition. The Career Series is an initiative by BITS Pilani Dubai campus where we talk about all things that grade 12 students may want to know before entering engineering. In the first edition of Career Series, we had different episodes on each discipline where we talked about what courses you'd study in a discipline, what is the student life like, and what is the future like. If you want to watch the first edition, go to BITS Dubai's playlist. In the second edition, which we're doing now, we're talking about different goals and sort of a map to reach those goals. Our first episode was on how to land your dream job. Second episode was about starting up a new venture while you're studying at BPDC. Third episode was about new age streams like AI, IoT, data science, robotics, networks, cybersecurity, and all the other buzzwords that you might be hearing about lately. If you want to watch any of these episodes, you can watch it in the playlist here. In today's episode, we are going to talk about research and higher education opportunities after graduating from BITS Dubai. Let me introduce you to the panelists for today's discussion. The first panelist is Dr. Snehanshu Chaudhary. He's the assistant professor at BITS Pilani Dubai campus, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Then we have Dr. Zubair Ahmed. He graduated from BITS Pilani Dubai, and right now he's postdoctoral fellow investigating cellular bioenergetics. Then we have Shruti Pandit. She also graduated from BITS Pilani Dubai campus and is currently pursuing MS in cybersecurity. And then we have Tushar Agrawal. He is also a BITS Pilani Dubai campus alum, and he's pursuing MS in data science. All right. So coming to Dr. Snehanshu. Dr. Snehanshu, what are the options of popular options of higher ed in mechanical, civil, chemical?
Over the last few years, what we have seen is an increasing number of students going for higher education. Going by my experience, most of these students head to the US for their master's or PhD. There are also students going to the UK, the European Union, and of late, because of some visa restrictions and other regulatory reservations, we have seen an increasing number of students also applying for the Australia and the New Zealand.
Right. Right. And what are the kind of specialization these people are doing in mechanical, civil, chemical?
So most of them, mechanical engineering, for example, you can divide into certain specializations. For example, solid mechanics. I'll just give the broader one. Sure. Solid mechanics or thermofluid sciences or the industrial aspects where you deal with the manufacturing. So you can go in either of these. For chemical engineering, you can go into processing or kinetics. Civil can go into, for example, water reservation, infrastructure projects, traffic, how you manage traffic, how you build roads, these kind of stuff.
All right. Shruti, coming to you. So what are the popular options in EC, EEE for higher ed?
So since the EEE and EC are core courses and they're base, so you can go from it. Like you can go into embedded systems, chip design, then power generation, power electronics, electronics, or even you can move on to other fields which are related. Like you could go into cybersecurity or even I think manufacturing. So
right, sounds very exciting. So which are the popular colleges for these domains? So
usually there are your top all Ivy Leagues, and otherwise there are the University of Texas, Texas A&M. Then they have Caltech, Georgia Tech. Those all are really well known for electrical engineering.
Nice,
and all its
nice, interesting. Tushar, which are the popular options in computer science?
Yeah, so computer science also being considered one of the core courses. There are many options that have opened up now for higher education. Traditionally, people used to go more towards computer science itself, a master's in computer science, because that gives a basis for many fields or many job opportunities that people want to pursue. But now there's newfound interest in courses such as data science, machine learning, masters in AI. So these are the popular ones. These are the buzzwords that people are using, and there are many opportunities available in these fields once a bachelor's in computer science is pursued, especially from a tier 1 institute such as BITS Pilani.
Interesting. And which are the popular colleges people go to for higher ed?
Yeah, as Shruti mentioned, in the United States, there are definitely the Ivy Leagues, which are more on the popular side. But depending on the course that one wants to pursue, a university might be better in that aspect compared to other universities, and it might not be an Ivy League as well. For example, NYU is a very popular university for data science, and data science being a niche and a new field, has specialized research going on in certain universities and not the others.
Interesting. Dr. Zubair, which are the popular options for biotech? Which are the streams people are going for? Which are the colleges people are going for?
Sure. So biotech is actually a rapidly expanding and versatile field. It is always growing immensely, at least in the past 5 years. So there have been traditionally people, as Tushar mentioned, taking biotechnology as a higher education, starting from the undergrads. But also people have gone to much more specialized interdisciplinary approaches, such as stem cell technologies, biotechnology, which is based more on biochemistry or biophysics. And there are many other options that are coming up in the recent years as well.
As per my discussion with everyone here, we have tried to consolidate and segment your steps that you take normally for higher ed. So the 4 steps that we've created is, first, you need to realize your intent that you want to go for higher ed, right? Second is to build your profile towards that particular course, and then you shortlist your universities, the universities that you want to go for, and then finally preparing for your entry requirements. So this is going to be the flow for today's episode. Coming to you, Dr. Snehanshu, in terms of realizing intent. So what is your observation been like? How do people realize their intent with the coursework?
So usually what happens is when you first join the university, the first year is common for everybody, right? Then you get into your department and you start doing the core courses. And along with the core courses, slowly you start taking electives. Based on the core courses, usually this is my experience, based on the core courses, most of the student will realize this is something that I like, and I would want to delve deep into this particular subject or aspect. So then what they have to do is choose electives such that those electives are aligned to this particular field. They can also choose project works with some of their supervisors, which are aligned with this their field of interest or their aspirations.
Right.
BITS Pilani has the semester system with continuous evaluation. The programs are modular and flexible. In their 7 semesters on campus, students create their unique profile with a combination of compulsory and optional courses. Students start with foundation courses in their first year and move to discipline core courses and dive deeper in their streams. They choose discipline electives, open electives and humanity electives to create a niche interdisciplinary profile. BITS Pilani's unique internship program called Practice School, popularly known as PS program, structures the industry exposure like a course. Apart from the faculty from BITS Pilani, a mentor from the company guides and evaluates students as they explore the workings in the corporate. Students get a short exposure of 2 months in a company in their PS1 after second year. In their final year, students go for PS2, where students work on a 6-month-long project with a company. PS2 also gives a chance to secure pre-placement offer from the companies for students. Apart from PS, students can opt for thesis program if they choose to get into research. What makes the program at BITS Pilani truly modular and flexible is that apart from the compulsory courses, the students can choose to take up a minimum of 12 elective courses of their choice and plan the same from second year onwards. They also have the flexibility to select the courses in each semester, choose the faculty and make their own timetable as per the plan, thereby having an option of completing their degree earlier than 8 semesters also. With the option of transfer, students can opt for changing their stream after the first year based on their GPA. With dual degree program, students can receive 2 engineering degrees by investing at least 1 more year. For example, a student who has been allotted mechanical engineering can choose to opt for a dual degree with computer science. In this case, the student will invest 5 to 5.5 years in total and will graduate with an engineering degree in both mechanical engineering and computer science engineering. BITS Pilani's world-class curriculum is designed to keep the students ahead of their peers and to get them ready for high-level positions in the corporate world. To know more about our curriculum, refer to the prospectus. To start your application for BITS Pilani Dubai campus, log on to admission.bits-dubai.ac.ae.
So there are foundation courses that people join in, and they go for those courses, which basically are kind of tools which are used for your discipline courses and electives, right? So you might have observed a lot of students taking various different kind of electives. So which are the popular electives that students go for if they are going for higher ed?
So I can speak specifically for the mechanical engineering and chemical engineering students. So if you were, let's say, interested in specializing in thermofluid sciences, you would go for the electives that we offer here, especially, let's say, computational fluid dynamics or gas dynamics or rocket and space propulsion or aerodynamics. I want to point out in this matter that we have recently started offering a minor in aeronautics here.
Nice.
So some of these courses, they will slowly align you to the thermofluid sciences specialization. And when you apply for higher studies with a specialization in thermofluid sciences, I'm sure having these particular courses in your transcript will reflect strongly your intent in pursuing higher studies.
Right. So brilliant. So then people get in with the foundational courses. They also do a lot of discipline core courses, which will give them a deep understanding of what the courses are like. And then if they like it, then they realize that they want to study it further. And apart from that, if they want to bring an interdisciplinary understanding of the courses, then there are electives, then they can go for, and then realize that they want to study that further in higher ed. Apart from the coursework, a major part of getting into higher ed is projects. So let me go to Tushar now. Tushar, what are the kind of projects that people do on campus, and how have you seen yourself and your friends? What kind of projects have they been doing, and how has it helped them realize their intent for further studies in the domain?
Thanks, Rohit. So coming to that, people pursue a diverse set of projects. They have diverse set of interests, and there are multiple ways to explore these interests. So one of them would be starting with design projects along with the faculty. So let's say designing a two-way sign language translator with the professors, or working on an empty parking space detection project using deep learning technologies with professors in the computer science department. So with these design projects, what one can do is explore their interest in the field. And this would also give them some sense of if they would want to pursue a higher education and which field they would want to pursue their higher education.
Right. So when do these projects start? Is it second year, third year? And how does a student approach a professor for projects?
So in the first year, we are only allowed the research projects, but not design projects. But coming to second year and the following years, one can pursue multiple design projects. And to approach the professor, you just need to approach them in their free hours and their office hours, and get to know them, get to know what their research interests are, and how you can work in cohesion with them to facilitate your own interests.
Interesting. So are these projects a part of the coursework? Do you get credits for it, or is it something separately that you do in your own time?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So these projects help in completing the credits or the coursework as well.
So if somebody is interested in higher ed and they've got a certain hint that this is a domain that I like, I think projects are a brilliant way to also build your profile and at the same time earn some credits to complete your course. Very nice. Very interesting. Another very unique feature of BITS Pilani is the PS program, the practice school program, which we've spoken about a lot in our previous episodes also, where industry exposure is structured like a course and you have a faculty and a mentor from the company evaluating you. But apart from PS, the students can also choose for TS. So let me go to Dr. Zubair. Dr. Zubair, what is PS, TS for our grade 12 students?
Very good question. So the PS is the practice school, as you had mentioned, that you go to an industrial space, or in biotechnology, you go to a clinical space to understand what you're learning, how it is implemented in real-time world situations. So, for example, after my second year, I did a PS1, which included going to a medical center and learning about how things are going on over there. But I primarily went for TS or thesis because I was a research-oriented person, and I did want to go to do higher education, which is more scientifically research-oriented. Right. And in this phase, I chose to do something on stem cell technologies, which was a very new topic. And it gave me the opportunity to start something new, not just within the university, but also build myself to an approach where I can be eligible for such specialized courses abroad. So in this manner, what I did was to speak to the sort of professors who are helping out with my at the university, see if their interests align with mine, see if their future interests align with my current interest, and set goals in that way, which was very exciting and very, it gave me an option to explore what's there in the current environmental situations, which is what's happening in Dubai. How can I compare it with things abroad, and how to tailor myself in a way that I can proceed to the plans that I have made in my career. So it was very, very an enjoyable experience. Yeah.
So the TS program for our Great Well students, so that they're clear, the TS program is in your 4th year, right? So it's a one semester that you dedicate for either a practice school or a thesis. You can choose either. Normally people who want to go for a job would choose a PS program because they get pre-placement offers, and people who want to do research would end up taking thesis program because they get to do thesis. And also Great Well students might not really understand what thesis is. So Dr. Zubair, what exactly is a thesis?
So thesis is basically you're planning a project by yourself. You want to research on a specific topic. You become like a starting point to a question that you have in your mind. So rather than you generalize, you balance out between whether you want to get an industrial practice that you want to go outside in the world and see how a working place is like, and get some key skills that might help you to get a job or higher education. When it comes to thesis, you have a research question, you have a hypothesis that you want to answer, and then you design your project. And it's basically like a huge, big research project that you might do. And you get a taste of how research is, but also you have the chance to get your own hypothetical publications, for example, and establish yourself as a grown-up researcher in the field, and it puts you in a position to follow on to your goals that you may have. That's how I would define thesis as for me. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So where did you do your thesis?
I did it at BITS Pilani itself. So there was a lab that was being well, I guess kind of constructed at that time for cell biology. So I played a main part in actually establishing it and then doing some minor projects over there from the start, and also training others. And it was a great opportunity because it had a wide variety of instruments to use and practice on, so that I can develop my research. So which was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I think in one of the previous episodes, somebody pointed out that being on campus is very, because you don't have to spend for all the equipment that you're going to use. And if you were to buy these or you were to access these labs when you're not a student, would be very, very costly. So I think being a student and doing a thesis is, it's very, financially, it's not at all a burden, which otherwise would be if you were doing a corporate.
Definitely. But that is definitely something to consider. But also it is important to know that when there is a research question that requires something that is not available, definitely BITS helps you to actually contact, collaborate, and then progress in your research question to get the answer that you need. So it's about a balance of both. And for example, I also went to a short visit to the Dubai Cord Blood Bank to understand what stem cell research was going on there, whether we can collaborate. So these sort of opportunities opens you up to a more widened brain space so that you can explore your potential even further. So that's pretty cool.
Very interesting. So what was your thesis on?
So my thesis was on culturing stem cells and isolating stem cells from different parts of the tissues, and then seeing their proliferation rate, and then how to culture them, how to differentiate them into different types of cells, what sorts of research is going on in Dubai, trying to summarize it and estimating how it's going to be in Dubai in a couple of years' time for stem cell biology in specific.
Right. Great. So we're talking right now about how do you realize your intent that you want to go for higher ed. So we've talked about coursework. You take a lot of courses. BITS Pilani is flexible curriculum. And while you're taking those courses, you may get some hint that you like certain things in this domain. Then you have projects that you can take up with a professor. Then you have thesis, a complete dedicated semester where you take up a problem statement in a domain that you like, and you try to now solve that problem with your research, right? Apart from this, there are multiple clubs and departments. So what basically clubs and departments are that students who are like-minded, students who have a similar interest area, they come together and create a small club and a department. So all the other thing that we talk about, which is coursework or project or thesis, is something that's supervised by the professor. But clubs and departments are purely students' initiative, which can either be an initiative directly on campus, or you may start a chapter of an existing international club on your campus. So Shruti, coming over to you to elaborate on clubs and departments which are there, technical clubs and departments which are there on campus that would help students realize their interest in a domain. So what was your experience like on campus?
So for EEE, they have that Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineering, the IEEE, that's the international school. So that more popular branch chapter was there. And, they had a whole hierarchy. Like you could actually even show your leadership thing. They gave you the opportunity to, publish papers and all those opportunities. And then we also were able to create our own chapters. Like me and a few students had created a biomem thing that was for circuit design and power electronics. So we had created our own thing, and then we would do all those. So BITS Pilani provide us resources and a room and a lab so that you could enhance with the clubs, and you can create new clubs. And then they have all fests where you could display all those. So. And then they have, I think for mechanical also, they have the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. So they have all those international societies which, give you an exposure later on
That's great, Shruti. So amazing experience people have on campus with clubs and departments. As you mentioned, there's IEEE for electrical and electronics students. There is ACM also, I think, for computer science. There's ASME for mechanical. So many more, right? And if there's one not present on campus, I think there's this flexibility for students to start one on campus. So I remember in Pilani campus, there was no robotics club at that point in time, I think, and the students started it at that point of time. There's BAHA also, I think, right? It's on doctor, yeah. Right. So there's BAHA for students who want to get into automobiles. Brilliant. I think clubs and department also gives you that freedom to do and try things. And even if you fail, you've learned something at the end of the day, right? All right. Dr. Zubair, coming to you about the exposure that you get, also the kind of exposure that you need, right? Just now you mentioned you went to a blood bank in Dubai to see if there's a possible collaboration. What are the other opportunities of exposure outside of Dubai campus that you get while being at BITS Dubai?
Yeah, definitely. So there are a couple of examples that I had the opportunity to, and I've utilized this in a way that it would help my career progression. So, for example, there are breaks in summer vacations or even within the course modules where you can actually visit abroad for a workshop or for a conference, particularly in a very specialized or of a brief overview of a topic that you're very interested in. And for example, I did take one of my summer vacations to get a clinical practice or hands-on practice in stem cells from human tissues in India. And after that, I also moved to went to Germany to present some of the research that I did in the next year's summer vacation. So it was a step-by-step strategic plan, but there's an opportunity in BITS to actually explore these and then improve your collaborative skills and expertise to be in research. So these are things that you can utilize, and there's a lot of support and help from BPDC as well in terms of funding and also in terms of applications to proceed in these directions. So these are some examples that you might want to take.
Tushar, you have some stories around the exposure.
Yeah. So another example that I could give, or that was my personal experience, was co-founding my own venture with 4 other co-founders, which was centered around establishing trust in the used car market called AutoChain. So this opportunity came up because of the multiple opportunities that multinational companies such as Google and Microsoft offer in the city of Dubai through hackathons. And it was through such events and hackathons in the city and the exposure outside the campus that we received that we were able to finally start up our own venture. And Dubai again, and UAE as a whole, is a startup-friendly environment. So the location of this campus plays a good part in letting young minds start their own ventures and explore the market.
Yeah, that's a good point. So being in Dubai, you also have access to all these big companies and almost an international market that you have there with which you can get the exposure. So Dr. Zubair was just mentioning about, students can go out of the country and present in different international conferences. These are going to be expensive affair. So does BITS provide any kind of support to these students who've been selected to present in conferences?
Oh, absolutely. If somebody wants to present in the conferences, we have several grants that can come in or help, at least reimbursement of the travel airfares or registrations through BITSA, the BITS Alumni Association. Also, on specific cases, it encourages students to go elsewhere, participate in conferences, and present their own work.
Great. So right now we're talking about how do students realize their intent that they actually want to spend all these years studying a particular domain. So coming to you guys, in short, could you tell me what was your moment when you realized why do you want to go and study this particular domain for next 3, 4, 5 years, and people are doing PhD even more? What was your moment? So Dr. Zubair, coming to you.
Yeah, sure. So I was always fascinated and always interested to be in scientific research because you constantly discover something new that will be ongoing in treating health and disorders and diseases. And I knew that stem cell was a very much new and growing field, so I would require an investment in it for the next few years to become an expert in it. So that was my in a short note why I wanted to pursue a career.
Yeah, but that's still a gradual process, right? What you told me is a gradual. What was that moment that you remember that this was your aha moment? This is when you realized, okay, this is my field. This is what I want to do.
Oh, yeah. So I guess the fact that maybe I can take an example. The moments that in one of the courses where I was studying in BITS, where we talk about how bad the brain can regenerate. And then when I heard about stem cells and there was an option where using that technology, using that biotechnology in certain, you can actually potentially regenerate brain that has been dysfunctional. So that was my, I guess, aha moment where I knew that, oh my God, this would be groundbreaking and revolutionary and I want to pursue this field. I guess that's where I took my direction.
Very interesting. What about you, Shruti? What was your moment like?
So I think it was in second year when we were studying circuits and signals. And so that includes electrical and you had lots of math in it. So that was the moment when I realized I really love this subject. Like I can do both what I really like. And that's like one of the core subjects for cybersecurity. So that moment I realized, oh, I want to pursue this.
That's a very interesting point, because your story says that in second year, you realize you want to do research. I have a friend, IIT Bombay. He entered IIT Bombay thinking I'm going to do research, but after the second year, he realized I don't want to do research. So I think first 2 years are very crucial because it introduces you to these, core disciplinary courses where it demystifies. When I entered mechanical, I used to think it's all about designing cars and, aeroplanes, but it was not really that. There was much more to it. So what was your moment like, Tushar?
Even my moment came in the second year, which was through a Microsoft hackathon. I mean, I've been to a lot of competitions and I had the opportunity to co-found a venture, but the moment was when we got to do something for the Al Noor Center for the Disabled, where we got to work with a deaf subject who was a deaf student in the 10th grade and build a prototype for a two-way sign language translator for the deaf student. And this was supported by the university as well, like in terms of the attendance and such. And there was also a lot of support from the professors in terms of the project input. So yeah, this made me realize that I want to develop data-driven products for social good, and hence I'm currently pursuing my master's in data science.
Very nice, very interesting. So students who are in grade 12 watching the episode right now, if you want to get into higher ed, right, you may realize something right now that you have a kind of intent. But once you get into college, these are the things that you need to do. Look at your coursework, look at the projects, look at your thesis, be a part of lots of clubs and departments, and also go and present your work, your projects, your presentations outside of the campus so that you can network with the people and see what it is exactly like. And brilliant, we heard a lot of aha moments from the people who are here. Second step is building your profile. So once you've realized that you want to go for a higher ed course, what should be your profile like, best suited for that particular course? So let me come to Dr. Snehanshu. So Dr. Snehanshu, tailoring your coursework, the kind of courses you take up becomes a major part of your profile. So what are the kind of flexibilities available in BITS Pilani to let a student do that? And what kind of examples you've seen?
Well, BITS Pilani offers a very flexible curriculum. As I mentioned, the first year is common. From second year onwards, you can start choosing electives, okay? As soon as you realize that you want to pursue higher studies, I would strongly recommend you to get in touch with a professor, okay? They will tell you, if you want to pursue higher studies in this particular specialization, what are the courses that would be beneficial for your profile,
right?
Okay? And I would suggest staying away from courses that might seem very easy, all right, but in the end is no longer beneficial, all right? So that is one aspect that I would strongly recommend students. So choosing the electives is essential, and I cannot emphasize how important it is and how pragmatically you should be choosing your electives. If you are going in a certain field, let's say thermofluid sciences, which is very common to students in mechanical engineering or chemical engineering,
right.
Stay aboard or take courses that are related to this.
Right.
Don't venture out into something else unless you feel there is a necessity. For example, I would say, even in thermofluid sciences, many of us, we do a lot of coding for simulation work, okay? So it's essential that you have at least some basics which is related to coding. Or if you want to pursue, let's say, robotics, right? AI may be relevant, or mechatronics, right?
Yeah.
Control systems may be important. So that brings in the role of taking interdisciplinary courses.
Right.
They will round up your profile really well, okay? And looking ahead in the future, mostly the higher education research is going to be interdisciplinary. So I would ask students to embrace interdisciplinary courses and be prepared with it.
Interesting. So just to be clear, all these courses are on offer at BPDC, and students can actually go ahead and choose interdisciplinary courses to create their unique niche profile and build the profile as per whatever higher ed course they want to take up. Brilliant. That's nice. Dr. Zubair, coming to you. So apart from the coursework, apart from tailoring the coursework, they should also tailor their projects that they take up, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I had mentioned about some of the projects I did before, so I won't go into in-depth detail about them, but it is absolutely true. when I start my undergrad, I would have a good idea, at least a good idea about the interdisciplinary nature of the course itself and the modules itself, as Dr. Sudhanshu had mentioned before, but also what sort of projects can steer my undergraduate level of education towards the direction that I want to go. For example, doing a thesis in stem cells actually steered me towards doing a master's in stem cells, and doing taking an optional module in animal cell technology made me a cell biologist in the viewpoint of applying to a master's. Those are quite important in actually making you evidently feasible for that direction, but also giving you equipped nature to be a part of that future that you haven't planned. So yeah.
Interesting. So would the professor help you out in figuring out what kind of project one should go for, what kind of research publication one should go for? And can you approach, so for example, if you are in mechanical, can you approach a professor from another discipline altogether and do a project with them, or do a project with a company altogether? So are there these flexibilities available at BPDC?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely there are these options. For example, my project had, my thesis project included a part of biochemistry in it. So I was able to, collaborate between biology and chemistry to actually not just talk to them and network with them, but also establish a research goal. And then that really played a big input into my application process and the outputs that I got. For example, an attempt to have a publication, and also an attempt to write other scientific articles. So that was quite helpful. Yes, absolutely.
Interesting. And scaling up the whole project experience makes it thesis, right? So coming to you, Shruti, what was your thesis experience like? How did it help you get into the college later?
So my thesis experience was really good. Like in the fourth year, first semester, I'd done my thesis. And initially I was debating over what topic to do. So Dr. Chakrabarti in Triple E, I had asked him, like he actually guided me to, he said, which colleges are you applying and what is the emphasis you want to do? So I had decided I was going to do an embedded system. So he helped me, and then he's like, okay, then based on that, we should do, like, you can do a thesis on this subject. And, he actually guided me like before the semester started, and then I was able to choose a thesis project. And then because of thesis, it adds a extra research thing. Like then they know that you want to do further in this, and it helps. So yeah.
Very interesting point. So like you said, thesis gives a kind of indication that you want to pursue this further. You want to spend your next 3-4 years on this particular problem statement. Something similar is where, Dr. Zubair was mentioning earlier in our discussion that when you're looking at a patent, when you're working on a patent, that also plays a huge role when you're actually creating your SOPs when you want to enter a higher ed course. So Tushar, coming to you, what's been your experience like while creating a product or a service while on campus?
BITS Pilani supports a lot of activities or initiatives that student takes, be it an entrepreneurship, which is supported by the entrepreneurship cell headed by Trupti ma'am, or be it design projects, which is supported by the professors themselves who are teaching, or be it the research publications, which is again supported by the professors. So there is something for everyone and something that is supported by BITS Pilani, like something in each field that is supported by BITS Pilani. So during my college curriculum, I had the opportunity of pursuing multiple initiatives in each of these fields.
Interesting. So for the students who are watching right now, let me just sum it up. So the first thing that we discussed was realizing your intent. Second thing that we're discussing is building your profile towards the kind of course you want to go for. And to build your profile, there are 4 steps. One is you tailor your coursework. So there's a lot of flexibility and offer at BPDC. Tailor your coursework based on what you want to do further. And then choose your projects, choose your research publication. Third comes thesis. So in 4th year, you can spend 6 months doing a thesis, which means you pick up a problem statement in your domain, do a lot of research and write your thesis. And 4th is possibility of patent or create a lot of initiatives, create products, create services that would basically give you an in-depth understanding of your domain, and also would show it to the, to your recruiter for a higher ed course that you're interested in going ahead with this. All right. The third step towards your higher ed course is shortlisting universities. So that's a very interesting and a very practical thing to do, right? I mean, this is the course you want to go for, but then you are ultimately a BITSin. So you want to do it from the best place possible. So how do you shortlist university? What are the factors, first of all, that one should consider while shortlisting? Dr. Zubair, coming to you.
Yeah, definitely. As in, if I may take an example for myself, I started looking into the top universities, and then also started looking into which universities I would be a contributing fit, and that's somewhere that I would enjoy being at. And this has to be to do with how important your course is evaluated in that university. Are the modules interesting to you? What is the graduate percentage employment? Do people go into research? Do people go into industries? What is the collaborative platform of that university within its higher education counterparts? So these were certain initial thoughts I had before choosing a university for myself.
Interesting. Interesting. What about you, Shruti? What do you think are the factors while choosing a university for your course?
You would like to know what the length was, like how flexible is the program? Like, if you wanted to do it as an accelerator, like within 1.5 years instead of 2, is that an option? And, like, what is, like, if ranking matters to you, and, what is, like, how influential the college is to help you get jobs or, further into research that way. And mostly it also depends, like, if you don't like cold weather, then, maybe the northern states of US or Canada would be really difficult to survive. So, so based on those, I decide. Yeah.
Right. Getting out of your habitat. All right, Tushar, what are your factors, would you say, while choosing a university for your course?
Yeah, as Dr. Zubair said, what are the outcomes that you want out of the experience? The higher education experience is what matters, and how your university supports that, whether it be the search or job opportunities. Or in my case, I chose my university because of the entrepreneurship-related activities that it supports. So there are a lot of venture competitions and venture clubs that it supports, and how one can build the product and cater it to the customers. So that's what I think was my intent behind choosing the university.
Right. Dr. Snehanshu, you might have seen a lot of students choosing different universities for different kind of course. And of course, they want to go for the best. But which other, apart from, the courses that these universities offer, which other factors have you seen students counting in while choosing the best university for the course?
I think the first factor that always comes in is, what does the university have to offer? Are the courses that they offer streamlined along with your interest? Number one. Number two, the cost aspect is always there, right? So those two, I think, primarily dictate where students go. Okay, right. And also, do they have a relative somewhere, right? Because you're going far away and you'll be all by yourself. So having a relative or a friend or even a senior helps you in establishing some route there.
Right.
So those factors do play an important part.
Right. Also, so how does BITS Pilani Dubai campus help you in shortlisting your universities? Help you in getting there? Any stories? Anything that you want to share?
I can go ahead with that.
Yeah.
So one crucial aspect that I understand and that I spoke about earlier was that having the tag of BITS Pilani as Tier 1 university, as well as the exposure of being in Dubai, which is a multicultural, multinational city, definitely creates a unique selling point for the students and an attractiveness for the higher education institutions. So being in this environment itself is something that, and being in this university and this environment, this location itself is something that gives you kind of a unique point, or like makes you stand out from the other applicants.
Interesting. This is while you guys were discussing about how to choose for higher ed. There's a question that I was thinking about. So what is the difference in the process of choosing a college for your undergraduate and choosing a college for your postgraduate? Is the process similar, or is there a difference? Because what I understand is undergraduate is more about building your tools, which you're going to use for research, and postgrad is more about research, solving a problem, right? It's more about guidance there. I don't know. I'm not, so I may be wrong there. So you guys come in and tell me if there is a difference in the process of choosing the best college for your undergraduate studies and the best college for the course that you want to do in your higher ed. Start with Dr. Zubair.
Yeah, fair. I think that's a good question, and there would be similarities in some aspects, and there would be differences as well, and we have to consider both of that. As an example, for me, I took biology in my high school, and I did not want to go into clinical sciences. I did not want to become a medical practicing doctor, but I did want to. Was so interested in biology, I was looking for options that will steer me in the direction where I'm still connected to the field of interest of mine. And that led me to research and looking into things. And that led me to looking at biotechnology as a field, and then going to BPDC. And it's more exploratory. It was more exploratory for me, choosing my undergraduate. And it was more specific for me while choosing my master's. And many people would agree that during postgraduate is where actually you're more in a position to be more focused. And you should always treat undergraduate with an open mind, and then learn as much as you can. Is one attitude you can look at it.
Very, very interesting point. So when you're looking at choosing a college for undergrad, look at a college that offers almost everything to you so that you can pick and choose and figure out what you like. But once you figure that out, your higher ed is more about being more focused in a particular domain. Very interesting point. Tushar, what about you?
I definitely support what Dr. Zubair said. I feel the same about the difference. What I would like to add is that, with respect to my experience, it was more of like, I did not know if I had like 100% passion for my field, or if this was my field of interest. But I knew that this touches the field of computer science touches each and every aspect now because of the digital world that we live in. And as and when my experience was shaped during my undergraduate program, I got to know the focus that I want to drive, and I want to now drive, data-driven products. So that is the focus that you develop during the undergraduate program. And that is what BPDC definitely offers you and nurtures you to do so.
Very interesting. What about you, Shruti?
Yeah, I agree with Zubair, Dr. Zubair and Tushar. Because for undergrad, you just go on the basis of you want to explore it and you want to find out more. So I chose EEE because it was a core subject, and then I could find out more about it. So that was my aim. And then for higher education, by then you actually know exactly which field you want to go to and how you can prepare for it. So it becomes more focused. Yeah.
Right. Dr. Snehanshu, you have any input here?
Oh yes. So I agree with all of the other panelists. So what matters here is the emotional maturity that you have by the time you complete your undergraduate degree.
Yeah.
When you are just out of high school, so for example, everybody nowadays want to pursue computer science. I know it's sort of the buzzword, right? So everybody wants to get into computer science. And eventually, not everybody may like it.
Yeah.
Right. So similarly, when I was admitted, right, at my undergraduate level, I went there hoping that mechanical engineering is all about cars. You build cars, right? I had no idea that this could apply to something else. All right. For example, I saw one of my friends who went in as a mechanical engineer. This is during my PhD studies, but he was doing characterization on viruses. Okay, live sports, for example, and his eventual degree was in PhD in mechanical engineering. All right. So undergraduate is more about where you were just dabbling in everything possible to figure out what exactly you were good at. And then master's and PhD is where you streamline everything and you just laser focused.
Very interesting. So basically your undergraduate college should have multiple things on offer so that you can try out and see what you like and what you don't like. And as Dr. Snehanshu also mentioned that by the end of the undergraduate, you also mature emotionally and you're very sure of this is what I want to do further. And then you go ahead and take your postgraduate college. I think BITS Pilani that way is a brilliant undergraduate college because the kind of flexibility it provides in terms of course and also the kind of platforms it gives you, not just for higher ed, for employment, for entrepreneurship, any and everything that you want to do. So in fact, this is a kind of joke in India. Students in India do engineering to figure out what they want to do in life. So which is true. And I think that's how most of the undergraduate studies is going to be now, where you explore almost everything because it's all about interdisciplinary now, and then figure out what you want to do, what you want to create, and then gain more knowledge about that domain. Brilliant. Interesting discussion going on. So we have covered till now, how do you realize your intent that you want to spend next few years studying a particular domain, and then how do you build your profile, to be the best suited candidate for that particular course in a university, and then how do you shortlist your universities that would provide the best course in that particular domain. And finally, we're coming to a fourth segment where we are going to discuss about how do you prepare for your entry requirements for that particular university that you've shortlisted. All right. So of course, the first entry requirement would be test scores. So coming to Dr. Snehanshu. So what are the kind of test scores required quickly, because this is for grade 12 students. So we can just tell them about what are test scores required for which are different kind of colleges, and how does BITS Pilani support and help students get best in their test scores?
Okay, so let me answer that question in two parts. First, I'll talk about what are the test scores required. Most of the colleges would accept a GRE score. Okay, so GRE is some examination that you should be prepared to take. Okay, this is well accepted in the US, EU, Australia, New Zealand, and also I think some of the UK universities accept that. They also want a score in IELTS, where they test your proficiency of English as a spoken language. The third thing is, if somebody is aspiring for a career in management, then they should take the GMAT rather than the GRE. Okay, so these are sort of the three courses or three exams that somebody should take if they are planning for a higher education.
Right.
Depending on some universities, and these are very university specific, some departments may require a subject GRE, and mostly they don't. But some departments may require a subject GRE. All right, so that's about the test that students should focus on. Coming back to how BITS can help. So often you would see several groups of students who are here, And if we get to know that you are preparing for GRE, we can tell you what are the preparation modes. We can suggest some external organizations that support these kind of activities. They help you train. And also we are trying to build up some database, let's say some CDs for a mock test that we have in our libraries. So all in all, it should be a good experience for the students.
Interesting. All right. So the entry requirement basically are in 4 segments. One is test scores, and a major part is also the SOP, the statement of purpose. And the third is letter of recommendations. And the fourth is your own transcripts. How have you done while you were at BPDC, right? So coming to the second part is statement of purpose, which is a very, very important part of your admission. So coming to Dr. Zubair, what is SOP? How do students build their SOP? And how does BITS Pilani help in getting a very solid, strong, robust SOP?
Yeah, so in a brief note, just quickly, SOP is about connecting yourself to that course, and connecting doesn't just stop with that course, but also with that department, also with that environment that they're in, and they really look at your progress in that way. So, well, you have to reflect on your solid achievements for that course, but also you have to show them that you have the promise of successing in that graduate study. So, an SOP normally. Many universities have in their websites what they're looking for in SOP. So you should have a good look about what they're expecting, and you should have a good look about the department where the course is going to be in. All of this gives you an idea to how to frame your SOP first, so you don't start writing about all of your achievements without having a connection to the graduate study. And of course, you introduce yourself, your motivations and interests, which will be a part of your SOP, and you can summarize your achievement, but also you need to show the relevance of your activities so far in your life or in your career for industrialization or for research, and how it is relevant not just for the university but also for that economy, and so on and so forth. This gives an idea that you're not coming here as a stopgap. You're here to progress. You're here to improve something, not just there but for yourself, and then you're going to improve the field in itself. So yeah, and that's one of the ways how you elaborate your interest in the course. And SOP is a strong, straight statement to actually do that. It gives you an opportunity. It's not a hurdle. Right. So yeah.
So how does BITS Pilani Dubai campus help in getting a very strong SOP?
Yeah, so first thing I did was to ask for help. So after I had a draft with myself, I go to my I go to my PIs or investigators or professors, the people I've connected with the most in my thesis projects, for example, as a first go. I've asked to take a look at that and then give them an overview of the courses I'm applying to, and they seem to connect the dots and tell you, okay, maybe you can look at it in this direction, maybe you can change it a little bit over here. And there's also a lot of help with the grammatical statements and how big or how small you have to frame for specific courses. So there's a lot of not just information, but also personal help from the professors and faculties at BPDC. That is something I utilized at most when I can. So
interesting, very nice. So you've gotten a great score in your GRE or GMAT or whichever other exam required. You've written a brilliant SOP. The third important thing is letter of recommendation. Tushar, what is letter of recommendation? How do you get the best one?
So a letter of recommendation is basically a recommendation given to support the activities that you've done. And these activities are the ones that Dr. Zubair mentioned in the SOP, the ones that you talk about. So it basically acts as a witness or kind of a support to the amount of dedication that you've put in each of the activities and how you stand out. So these are usually written by the professors, depending on the coursework. So if a student does very well in the course, that can be based on that, or it can be based on the projects that they've done under a professor and how the student worked with the professor, the dedication he showed, the number of hours he put in, the thought process that was gone in, what were the unique approaches. And it can also be with respect to the industrial projects, that is the PS program of BPDC. So if you intern in a PS company, a practice school company, so the mentor at your practice school station, that can be the manager or the team leader that you worked under. They can witness your work and your work ethics. So it basically supports your activities, and it's a letter of recommendation to basically support the activities and witness the work that you've done.
Right. Interesting.
And this becomes
Yeah. And BITS Pilani is a very well-known university globally. So when the professors from BITS Pilani write your LOR, does that carry weightage? Have you guys experienced it personally?
Oh, definitely, yes. If the professors from BITS Pilani write a letter of recommendation, and BITS Pilani being a Tier 1 university, it adds a lot of weightage to their recommendation as well. And the professors that the university selects are also through a very selective process. So they have a lot of research publications to their name before they join the prestigious university.
Now you know about the test course. Now you know about what statement of purpose, how to write the statement of purpose, letter of recommendation. Finally, of course, if you're going to apply for a good course, you need to have good grades in the courses that you've done in BITS Pilani. So a major part is, of course, your grades in your courses at BITS Pilani Dubai campus. So Shruti, coming to you, the transcripts that you provide to the universities, of course, they have their own format, and I've seen that it's a logistical nightmare for a lot of students. How does BITS Pilani help you in putting up the transcripts? And yeah, what's your story there?
So when I was applying for Masters of Cybersecurity, so they needed more focus on the computer science grades. Like they wanted to know which C coding programs I had done, and they wanted those highlighted, and they wanted it not in our 10 point, they wanted as a 4-point GPA. So so it was really a very pleasant email exchange. Like I didn't even have to do much effort. Like I just had to send in one email and I sent them the specifics that I wanted. So they did send me a review saying that, is this
who did you send the email to? What?
Oh, I sent it to the registrar of
BITS Pilani. Okay, right.
BITS Pilani. And like you just have to send it to that admin for the registrar, and it was an easy email. Like you just specify what you want, and then they ask you like, is this all? They send you a example, and if you say yes, they just directly send it to the university. So it was one of the most easiest email exchanges. Like I didn't have to like keep following up and miss the deadline. So I'd given them a month, but then they sent it within a week. So that was a really good logistical.
So BITS Pilani that way is brilliant because it has its internal systems which are very student centric, right? So whatever the students may want to do after BITS Pilani, I think has got a very smooth system running in. Students, I didn't feel any pain about anything that I had to do after that. I think the systems are very, very smooth. Did you, all of you, did you have similar experience when you were applying with your transcripts and all?
Yeah, well, my university needed a transcript sooner. So that was not the case of changing the format of it, or it was to have, because the course was starting sooner, they wanted a transcript sooner. And BPDC helped get a provisional transcript that was applicable. So I got an offer which was conditional, which was based on whether I get a whole transcript. But anyway, getting a conditional offer is a major step in actually securing a place. So that was quite helpful, yeah.
Interesting. Anyone else? Any other story?
Yeah, so with respect to my application process in the United States, they require a converted GPA and that has to be converted by the World Education Service. So BPDC has a registered email with the World Education Service, which allows them to bypass the postal time, that is the physical transfer of transcript time. And they don't need to physically mail the transcripts to the authorities in the US and receive the mail back. Through the registered email, they can just send an email with the transcripts and get the verified transcripts within a week's time or less.
Very nice. Very interesting. Brilliant. Brilliant. Great. So amazing discussion. The first thing that we discussed was the popular options in your own discipline, which are the popular options for higher ed. And then we discussed about what are the steps with which you can reach to the course that you want to do. The first thing is to realize your intent. Second is to build your profile. Third is shortlisting universities. And fifth is preparing for your entry requirements. All right. So coming to you guys for a final segment. So this video is being watched by a lot of grade 11, 12 students who are engineering aspirants, right? So if they have slight interest with research right now, what is the one sentence advice you would give to them if they want to pursue research further?
I would like the students to have a strong foundational background, right? Engineering is based on mathematics and physics. So if you could brush up at grade 12 level, if you could just brush up your mathematics and physics, then that would be a great help. Once you are in college, as soon as you realize what you like, pursue that, pursue wholeheartedly. Okay, there is no substitute to hard work. And then don't get really stuck up in a subject. Many of these fields will change, right? Over the length of your career, over the next 30, 40 years, a lot will change. Okay, right. So something that we really find fascinating today might completely be obliterated. Okay, right. So embrace change, learn, try to be learning along the way, enjoy the journey.
Dr. Snehanshu, if there are students, if they already know, so there's some particular student who already knows that this is where he wants to go or she wants to go, is there a possibility that they can connect with the professors in BPDC right now to understand more about what are the research options in that particular domain?
So my advice to them would be get in touch with the relevant faculty, look into their profiles, the kind of research they are doing, and then get in touch with them by whatever means. I mean, I would actually even welcome a phone call.
But these are big shot professors, right? The BPDC professors are big shot professors. So will they be accommodating of the grade 11, 12 students reaching out to them?
Of course, they are the future generations. That's our job. Of course, we would be.
Where can they find their email IDs?
Yes, so you can find all the email IDs of the professors on the BITS webpage. So for BITS Pilani Dubai campus, it will be on our department webpage, and all of their research interests are also listed there.
Brilliant. So that's a great advice by Dr. Snehanshu. So the students who are watching right now, you can go ahead, look at the BITS Pilani Dubai's faculty page and see what research professors are doing. And if it interests you, reach out to them, have a conversation with them, get to know a little more about what happens in that particular domain. All right, Dr. Zubair, coming to you. What is the advice, one line advice that you'd want to give?
Well, I'm a researcher, so I'll stick to that direction. I would say for grade 12 students, be really excited. You're entering a domain which is exploratory, as I mentioned before. Be ambitious and be excited, and try to have a understanding of which direction you would be most comfortable and would enjoy the most, and which ones you should actually adapt so that that grows within you. So Dr. Snehanshu was absolutely right that you have to contact the departments and know more about it and figure out where you'd be most happy. I mean, at this point, you wouldn't know everything, but what ticks you? So I think that is an advice for that level, and that's kind of how I did it. And I would say that is one piece of advice I would like to give.
Very nice. Shruti.
So the advice I would like to give them is that they enjoy these 4 years. Like, this is when you will figure out what you want, join more clubs, get into extracurricular activities, which will help you focus, because your application for higher education or anywhere, even for a job profile, is more than your GPA. It's like your personality and character should shine through your application, whether it's for higher education or for job. Like, what makes you unique? Like, try to figure out those. So
interesting. Tushar.
Yeah, what I would like to say is that take initiatives, be ambitious. These are the 4 years that you can experiment with. And these are the first 4 years that people take it seriously as young adults. So any initiative that you take won't go to waste. And it shows, it shows in a profile, it shows for long term. And all the experiences that come out of these initiatives stay with you. Right. This is kind of, the undergraduate program is kind of like a safety net. At the end of the day, if anything does not work out, this is something that you can fall back on. The coursework still remains.
Absolutely.
But if you take initiatives and experience and take challenges and these experiences shape who you are, these 4 years in this nurturing environment. So this can be one aspect that, builds you further ahead, and you can define your own stream in terms of and pursue higher education in that stream.
What a beautiful sequence of advice, right? So Dr. Snehanshu said, right now, when you are in 11th, 12th, reach out to the professor and reach out on email, figure out what the domain is all about. Dr. Zubair said, be excited about what you're getting into. And Shruti talked about explore a lot of things while on campus, because you may think that this is what you like, but who knows, you may figure out something else altogether. And Tushar said, use your undergraduate also to fail forward. Do a lot of things, fail if you want to, try out a lot of things, but figure out what is it that you like, because ultimately if you like, you'll push your boundaries and you'll do well in that domain. Brilliant. I think it was a very, very nice discussion. I think the students who are watching right now would have gained a lot. So if you are looking at going for higher ed after your undergraduate studies at BITS Pilani Dubai campus, this is the episode for you. If you are curious about how to take admission at BITS Pilani Dubai campus, the link is flashing below. Reach out to that particular link. Great. Thank you, panelists. Thank you for your time. It was a very nice discussion.